I'm a stubborn individual. Whenever my mind is set on something or someone, it's hard to change my opinion. In the case of Minami though, I am happy to say that she has successfully flipped the script that I wrote on her before her character arc. With the Minami arc looking like it's coming to an end, I think Nico Tanegawa did exactly what was needed with all characters involved, so let me start with the lady herself, Minami. If it wasn't apparent before this chapter, Minami certainly grew. Thanks to the myriad of wake-up calls Minami has experienced throughout the course of WataMote, she has self-reflected and come out a better person. We're seeing a level of maturity that was absent from Minami in a couple of different ways. For one, how she handled being ignored by Maki and Nori was telling. When this happens, Minami doesn't blame Maki or Nori, she takes it in stride. I feel like a less mature Minami just about 6 to 7 chapters ago would have lashed out or made excuses for why she fell out with her friends, but it would appear Minami understands why things turned out like they did. I also would like to add on the part of Maki, she was ice cold for ignoring Minami the way she did. It was much worse than when Nori snubbed Minami, because this time Minami called out to Maki, but she refused to acknowledge her. It's hard to blame Maki though, because Minami was bad-mouthing her boyfriend, which even for their group's level of toxicity, I think is crossing the line. So again, I definitely get where Maki is coming from, but since we're seeing things through Minami's perspective, I couldn't help but feel bad for her. The second sign of Minami's growth was her thanking Uchi for hearing her out. With Minami being portrayed as super self-centered, you wouldn't expect her to show genuine gratitude, especially to a person who verbally banned her from class 3-4. The third indication is Minami seeking out Sachi in the first place. Minami is a prideful gal, so I'm sure it took a lot for her to commit to trying to reconcile with Sachi. I think my statement can be reinforced by the fact that the way the mean girls split up wasn't really Minami's doing, but instead Sachi's. Simply put, it takes a bit person to let bygones be bygones when they weren't necessarily at fault. The final show was Minami letting Tomoko's group know where Furuki hangs out during lunch. This action had no real benefit for Minami. She went out of her way to do it, and it's not like she's trying to befriend Tomoko's group. In fact, Minami doesn't like Tomoko's group aside from Mako, so her helping them out solidified the progression she has made during this character arc. However, even though I've been praising the growth of Minami, it's not as if she became a different person. Honestly though, that's part of what I like about Minami's progression. To me, it feels organic. This arc doesn't cover a lot of time in story, so to have Minami go from the fang-tooth bitch to the snaggletooth saint would have been unrealistic. Minami at her core is still the same person, and I think we were reminded of that in her conversation with Sachi. In this talk, Minami admits that initially she was going to make fun of Sachi for being alone, but decided against it, only to condescendingly offer Sachi her quote, kindness unquote. As the convo continues, it eventually devolves into a roast session to where Sachi is calling Minami fat and Minami is saying Sachi's face looks like a mask. Which I can't lie, Minami is kind of spitting facts right there, but Sachi's whole point of Minami being fat? I don't know about all that. But this is Japanese high school girl standard, so I guess so. This is all just to bring home the point that Minami is still a mean girl. Remember too, for all of Minami's growth, she still has not apologized to anyone except Furuki about the things she's done. And I'm not saying I want her to either, I'm just demonstrating that Minami's true colors haven't been completely painted over, but it has changed shades at the very least. I don't think Minami will ever be as insufferable as she was in the past, but don't think for a minute that she's going to be another Mako now. Focusing on Minami and Sachi's conversation, I was pleased with the results. You'd think that after two girls verbally attacked each other, it would end in a permanent fracture in their relationship, but in the case of Minami and Sachi, it seems like this talk did the opposite. These two can shit talk each other all day and not take offense because they are cut from the same cloth. Sachi admires Minami's impulsive but honest nature, and it seems like Minami is comfortable being herself around Sachi. The back and forth that these two had would have sounded malicious and mean-spirited if different people were involved, but with Minami and Sachi, it sounded like friendly banter. These two are just made for each other. Sachi has no desire to integrate with Minami's other acquaintances though, so it seems like Minami would have to keep separate friend circles. The important thing here is Sachi's acknowledgement of Minami's newfound buddies. Before, she dismissed them as creeps and probably still thinks of them as such, but now she isn't standing in the way of Minami hanging out with them. Switching gears, I wonder how a confrontation between Yuri and Sachi would look. Sachi has stated to Minami that she is fine with keeping the original circle that they had as first years intact, which includes Mako and Yuri, although she is hesitant on the latter. I think what's interesting about Sachi is how she addresses everyone in that group. Sachi is on a first name basis with Minami and Mako, calling them Koharu-chan and Makochi respectively. However, Yuri is referred to as Tomura-san, showing a lack of familiarity. Of course, Sachi and Yuri don't hang out with each other like she does with Minami and Mako. They don't even have the same class, so it's understandable why they wouldn't be on a first name basis, but that all the more makes me wonder why Sachi approved of Yuri. Even if they were friendly as first years, Sachi doesn't appear the type to allow just anyone to be a part of her circle, especially in the aftermath of her disbanding the Mean Girls. There's two interesting bits of information that makes me anticipate Yuri and Sachi possibly talking to each other. For one, they have already crossed paths with each other as third years. I direct you to chapter 163, where Sachi takes a trip to class 3-5, where she passes to Moko's group, which included Yuri. If you pay close attention to that panel, you can see that Yuri and Sachi have a moment where they both seem to notice each other. Of course they don't talk, but that in itself is indicative of their current relationship. The other reason I'm looking forward to Yuri seeing Sachi is because of Sachi's comment in this chapter. Sachi says that she loves Minami's honesty, and what is Yuri known for as well? Her cold bluntness. I can't see Yuri and Sachi getting along well, mostly on the side of Yuri, but I can see Sachi being intrigued by Yuri's frank personality. This will also give more relevance to chapter 163, where Yuri laments being the same kind of person as Minami. Yuri in that chapter wasn't referencing their shared honesty, but in a more broad sense, she contemplated whether or not they were wired the same. Also, I want to point out, if things go as I think they will, Sachi wouldn't be the first person turned on by Yuri's direct manner of speaking, since Nemo seemed to really enjoy it in chapter 184.2. Yeah, Nemo might be a bit of a masochist. With Sachi hanging around the same area as Furuki, which Tomoko's group is headed, it seems like Yuri and Mako might very well cross paths with Sachi, which I'm hoping to see. I also had to mention Uchi. Big shout out to her for hearing Minami out despite not being on friendly terms with her. As Uchi is self-aware of, when the situation doesn't involve Tomoko, she is level-headed and normal. But even more than that, she was kind enough to help Minami out when no one else was willing to. So again, big ups to Uchi. Oh, and it was cool to see Scary Nemo in this chapter. I think a good question to ask is who is more intimidating, Scary Nemo, Yandere Yuri, Killer Kiko, or normal Sachi? Let me know. With that, people, that brings this video to a close. I do want to say before I head out, I have something big planned for WataMote, a big project that you may not see until months from now because there's going to be a lot of editing time and nurturing into that video, but it will come out, so be on the lookout for that. I do plan to keep on making these reviews bi-weekly because, you know, the series only comes out once every 2 weeks, but I don't know if I'll do that. Those videos may come out sporadically because there may be chapters like luckily this chapter had a lot to talk about, but it was only 12 pages, and I feel like WataMote sometimes with every individual chapter you may not be able to have anything that's review worthy every single chapter. All right, but I do plan to keep on covering this series, so while you may not see videos once every 2 weeks, you will see a video from me eventually on WataMote. You just gotta wait on it. All right, shout out to all the artists, the people who I used in this video and my last video, because the WataMote community puts in a lot of work when it comes to the artwork especially. All right, so shout out to you guys and thank you for watching the video. But guys, that's it for me. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. I am Satsuki the Savage, and I am out.
Tasting your soul, you're not in control, just giving you goals. Scared of your past, the future is closed. The start is the end is a start. They both are the same, can't tell them apart. Nigga, that's cuz the intro was the outro.